I'm Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we discuss the future so much that we get captured and almost killed.
In a museum. In space.
Like we said, we are from the future.
And space.
We're from space?
We're from future space.
Oh. Future space. Like that's any different from present space.
It is, because it's...
Because time, like space, also has dimensions of itself.
And museums. Space also has museums.
So we watched the Space Museum.
Really confusing and...
I really enjoyed it, actually.
Really? What?
Yes.
Why?
I thought it was really funny.
Can't be as
and
funny
interesting.
Okay, it was pretty funny. The science mumbo-jumbo was pretty funny, but as funny as the Crusades... I don't know.
The Crusades was just weird. This pointed out a lot of things about Doctor Who. Like how the Doctor always seems to get involved in a resistance movement that always seems to succeed only when the Doctor shows up.
Everyone's just inadequate and incompetent, and the Doctor's like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it worked in the
Everything
Daleks, the Reign of Terror,
yeah.
An Unearthly Child, the
Yep.
Dalek invasion of Earth, the Crusade. Literally, basically every serial except maybe Edge of Destruction.
Which this was kind of the Edge of Destruction of Season 2, in my opinion.
But it wasn't bad, it was good.
I don't know, I didn't think it was that good, to be perfectly honest.
We'll let the listeners make their choice. After we
Yes.
try explain the plot.
Oh god, the plot.
So the TARDIS shows up on this planet, and it looks like the Doctor is just frozen there. And then they unfreeze, and they're in their regular clothes.
And they're like, whoa, that's weird. Oh well, it's probably nothing. The first of many times in this serial that they just brush off things that are probably really important.
Maybe they just filmed it on a different day and they're like, shoot, we didn't change their costumes. Just write in some BS line about how they changed it.
But then Vicky goes and
Yeah, the Doctor's like, oh, they'll probably, the Crusade clothes will be in the cupboard. So she goes and checks, and it is. So it's all okay.
Yes, and on the way back, she gets some water. And in an amazing display of 60s special effects...
He's not being sarcastic this time. It was actually really good.
Yeah, this was actually... Despite how in previous serials they were like, we're going to try and go for more special effects, or like cooler special effects, this was the coolest special effect that they used in the entire show so far.
Right.
And it was probably the most simple, because what happened was Vicky just drops some water, a glass of water, and the glass shatters and the water spills, and then it just rematerializes. It all comes back together in her hand. And
They probably just reversed the footage, but it was still cool.
yeah, still looked cool. We watched it again.
Yeah, we watched
We're
it
like, whoa,
twice.
we should watch that again.
And then, so they leave the TARDIS, and they find a museum. Well, we don't know it's a museum, but then they go inside and they see some stuff, and they're like, oh, it's a museum.
Yeah, and
Right after that weird encounter where people, like, just walked past them without seeing them.
yeah, apparently no one can see them. And they're like, oh, well, it's probably nothing. Again!
And then, so they're inside, wandering around, and there's a Dalek there. But it's just an exhibit, and that becomes a key plot point, like, into episode 2.
And on the wiki, that picture of the Doctor peeking out of a door.
Oh, that's spoilers for this serial that we're about to explain.
Oh, well.
So, the Doctor keeps telling Vicky not to touch things, and then she goes to touch something, and she's like, whoa, it's not actually there. And the Doctor's like, what? Vicky, why would you touch things? Less concerned about the fact that the item doesn't exist.
And then they see themselves.
In glass cases. And the TARDIS. And then you're just like, what? What? And then the Doctor tries to explain it, and he's like, oh, the TARDIS probably jumped its own time track. We're seeing a possible future for ourselves. Now what we have to do is make sure this future doesn't happen. And you're just sitting there like, what? What?
It's some weird science.
Glynn Jones, why?
What else did Glynn Jones write? Let's check right
Edge
now.
of Destruction. No, I don't know.
No.
No, he just wrote the Space Museum.
Huh.
That's all.
Huh.
And he played
played
Character
crayons in the doc.
The Sontaran experiment.
But yeah, it was some Edge of Destruction level fake science that didn't make sense. And
he explained it way better at the end of the serial, which we'll get to.
Yeah. And possible spoilers here. It kind of reminded me of that Stephen King book / movie adaptation, I guess, The Langoliers, which
I haven't heard of.
It's just some weird, obscure 90s movie that I've seen. Similar plot to this serial. But so they start talking about how they need to prevent themselves from getting captured and putting in the glass cases. And
this is episode 2 now.
Yes. And honestly, throughout the whole serial, something that really bothered me was they spend so much time talking about this. Just so much time talking about how they need to change the future. And, like, arguing about it. And
meanwhile, the Doctor gets captured by this resistance movement. Surprise!
You thought a museum would be safe. No.
No.
There's a resistance movement in a museum. So the Doctor gets captured by them, and in this really funny...
No. First, Vicky, Ian, and the barber. The Time Lord, the barber. I always say that. The barber. Okay. They're wondering where the Doctor went, and like, God, why can he never just stay with us for once? He said this is the one time where the Doctor didn't wander away of his own accord. This is the one time where the reason why he wasn't with him was because he got captured.
Well, he did stray behind on his own accord, didn't he? Because wasn't he interested in something? He was like, oh, I'll just stay behind for a while or something.
But he was still going to follow them. He gets captured.
But the capture scene is so funny, though, because of what the Doctor does that you don't see on screen.
Yeah, it cuts back, and there's a guy bound and gagged. The other two people come in, and they're like, wait, where'd you let the old man go? And he's like, I don't know, he just overpowered me. I thought he was knocked out, but he wasn't. And then they leave to go look for him, and then it pans over to the Dalek.
And the Doctor just peeks out, and he's like,
No, he goes, hey, I am the master now. And then he gets out, walks out the door, and promptly gets captured by the other group. The group that the resistance group is trying to resist. The Morlocks.
Yes. And he gets captured by their leader named Lobos.
The governor of the planet.
And he explains... Does he explain the whole thing right then? Or is that later?
No, it's later. He takes him to that room where he hooks him...
The machine!
He takes him to this room where he's going to interrogate him, and he hooks him up to this machine that shows like what he thinks about. So he asks him where the barber, Ian, and Vicky are. And so then he finds out, and he sends guards there. But obviously the Doctor doesn't know, because he was captured, and Barber, Ian, and Vicky have gone off by now. Yeah.
But he tells the Doctor what the machine does, and he's like, where are you from? And he like thinks of those old bicycles with like...
No, it's how did you get here?
Oh,
and he thinks of the old, like...
The giant...
Yeah, the one with the giant wheel and the small wheel. And then it's like, where are you from? And he thinks of seals in the water. And he's like, but you're not aquatic. And then he thinks of... This is the best one. It's a picture of him in Edwardian swimming gear. It's like, what? And all the time the dog's like... And then Lobos has had enough. He's like, just take him to the preparation room.
Yes, apparently they're going to freeze him to put him in the glass case.
The Doctor's failed at changing his future.
Or has he?
And that's the end of episode 2.
So the next episode starts with... What does it start with?
Barber, Ian, and Vicky.
Yeah, and they see the Morlocks.
With the TARDIS.
Yes.
Yes.
And... Yes? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
Okay. We might skip a scene. We may be skipping a scene, but whatever. Yeah, no. But episode 3 starts with that.
Yeah. So they're confronted by one of the Morlocks, who are the white uniformed museum curators. And they long story short, they get captured.
Yeah, basically.
But not Vicky? Yes, not Vicky.
Not Vicky and Barbara. Just Ian gets captured.
Yes, just Ian gets captured.
He, jumps the guard to let Barbara and Vicky get away.
So, Ian winds up...
he winds up in a place with a thing.
with the doctor.
Yeah.
He winds up finding the doctor getting lobotomized. Not lobotomized, but... No.
Lobotomized is a little extreme.
He's basically... Well, he's getting vegetableized.
No, he's just getting frozen.
I guess, but... The process has never been reversed until now.
Yeah, that's after Ian steals the guy's gun. No, that's after Ian escapes. Ian has to escape first. Because he escapes, jumps the other guy, gets the gun, takes him at gunpoint.
Oh yeah, he overpowers those two guys.
Yeah.
A lot of nonsensical overpowering in this serial.
And for a second you think Ian might just become the first person to straight up kill another person.
Well, he did kill Ixta.
Well,
inadvertently.
He did kill Ixta. He was going to pull an Ixta.
He didn't straight up shoot him, point blank, though, so... but he doesn't.
Ian...
No deaths, surprisingly, so far. As we were watching this, I was like, wow, no deaths so far.
Wait.
But, oh god.
So Ian goes to where the doctor is. And... Vicky has gone with the resistance movement to the armory, and she helps them break into the safe, which is guarded by a computer, which asks questions, and you have to answer with the truth, and it has to be the right answer.
At that point, they had explained what was going on. Basically, the Morocks were an invading species who invaded Zephos, and the Zerons, who are the resistance movement, were the original inhabitants of the planet, and they're just trying to get their planet back.
Yeah.
Slightly similar to the Web Planet, to be honest.
Yeah.
Slightly a worse, less in-depth version of the Web Planet. With humans, not bugs.
They're not humans, they're Morocks and Zerons.
Okay, humanoids. Even though the Menoptera were, I guess, humanoids, but... the Menoptera, Neoptera. But the scene with Vicky and the lie-detecting machine or whatever... God, that was just... I guess Vicky is just mad scientist, genius, future child.
Just hacks into the machine, changes the questions, and they get in and steal all the guns.
They're like, wow, why didn't we do that in the first place?
Thanks, Vicky. And then Vicky's like, I have to go find Barbara and Ian. They're probably still inside. Meanwhile, Lobos? That's what I meant,
Lobos.
Has decided to fill the museum with some gas that doesn't exist.
It was just actually that one hallway. Because remember, they're like, we need to get through this hallway, and then they get out, and...
I think it was the whole museum, personally. I'm pretty sure he said the whole museum.
But that makes more sense, but, they come out of the hallway, and they're like, we're finally free of that awful...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went outside, though.
Oh, okay, yeah, alright. But they get captured anyway.
Yeah.
There's a guard waiting right outside.
Some resistance movement guy with a name that I don't remember. Was it Sitar?
It was, I think it was Sitar.
Sitar Hero.
Sitar. This is the point where everything falls apart for the death count.
This is somewhere in episode 3 or 4. It just all blends together. We watched them at the same time.
So, a Morok dies. One of the resistance...
Yeah, the resistance movement shoot a Morok.
And then one of them dies. A guy named Sitar.
Yeah, 2 Moroks show up and kill Sitar, and then they kill those 2 Moroks. That's 4 people right there.
And this is the second time Vicky has vicariously caused someone's death. Because if you remember, in the Romans, or the Romans, that she poisoned the dude.
Thanks, Vicky. If anybody's the most bloodshed person in this show, it's Barbara. Yeah,
but Barbara just straight up kills aliens. Vicky's like,
Yeah, I said Vicky for a second, I meant Barbara. Yeah, Vicky.
Yes.
No, Barbara.
Vicky plots behind the scenes. See, what you don't know is that all of this was on purpose, and Vicky's just a bloodthirsty killer.
Vicky just wanted to commit genocide. Vicky is Hitler.
But yeah, it all devolves into chaos. Some
And
Morlocks die.
Ian gets the guy to reverse the process on the Doctor that's never been reversed before. They've got the two at gunpoint, and then more Morlocks show up.
Kill some people. Lobos also dies.
Xerons show up.
Lobos
free him, kills Lobos.
Lobos, who's like a central character in this serial, has a really disappointing death. It's not even really mentioned. He just kind of gets shot by some random unnamed dude.
Well, the better part was how the Xerons were going to attack the barracks, and then later on, Lobos is just listening, and he's like, oh yeah, everyone in the barracks has been killed. And you're just like, whoa! Violent uprising! Whoa! Basically, I think they kill every Morlock on the planet.
Yeah. The shootout at the end, really disappointing. You don't think it's going to be the final showdown, but it is. And everything works out in the end. And then the Doctor and friends leave. The end.
Well, the Doctor takes the time-space visualizer, because the Xerons are going to, like, destroy all the technology. And the Doctor's like, never lose sight of technology, though. You're going to need it. Especially since, hint, hint, maybe the fact that you didn't have technology in the first place is why you got invaded.
Yeah, that was the whole reason they needed to steal weapons, because they didn't have any.
And now they're going to destroy...
yes, they're going to make the same mistake again. Good job, Xerons.
So
the people were Xerons, and the planet was Xeros.
I think it was Xeros. I might have just made that up. I actually don't think they ever mentioned that name.
No, it was main city.
Planet
Xeros. Yeah.
Hey, I got it right.
God,
oh
really
yeah, at the
confusing.
end, there's that scene with the Daleks.
Oh yeah, that was.
And the Daleks are.
Why?
I think it's a lead into the next serial.
Yeah, I know, but another Dalek serial in season 2, so close to the last one.
It's not really close. There's been a couple serials. Well, first we should mention the explanation the Doctor gave. So he figured out that the reason why they could see themselves, and then why eventually those selves disappeared. I don't think we mentioned that. And then everything that the people had done, that the companions had done, actually happened. Then it was like they were invisible, and then they became visible, and the exhibit disappeared.
Because some time stream stuff, they ended up materializing like a couple minutes after some.
So, well, the Doctor says it's like turning on a light switch and then having to wait for the lights to come on, like lag time. What had happened was they had arrived, but like they hadn't caught up with the time stream or something like that, so they weren't actually there. Yeah. And then when the time stream finally caught up with them, they
materialized, so to speak.
Yeah, basically. And then the Daleks. There's a Dalek in a ship, it appears, and he says...
Exterminate.
He says the Doctor's on the move. He will never escape our time machine.
Is on the move again.
He will never be able to escape this time machine. He will be exterminated, 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 and yeah.
Yeah, the next serial should definitely be called Daleks with a Time Machine, and not The Chase.
You know why I think it's called The Chase? There's going to be a chase through space and time. It's going to be an epic 6-episode serial where they chase the Doctor through historical events.
Through historical events sounds interesting, to be honest.
You know what would be interesting? You know what they should have done for the 50th anniversary? Instead of showing the time war between the Time Lords and the Daleks, they should have had some Daleks travel through the Doctor's time stream and attack the Doctor at different points in his time stream. We could see all 12 Doctors fighting the Daleks at the same time. It would have been awesome. Instead of basically the same thing they did, but for 3 minutes in the actual episode. Base the entire episode around that. Why am I not the producer of Doctor Who?
But, okay, so seeing the Dalek at the end of this episode kind of made me think, and I hadn't realized this until now, but the Daleks are really, really, really overused.
Because they're really popular, and you want to get your show popular, use the popular things.
That's true, but like...
And don't write out Susan.
No, I'm
or
okay with
Ian. Or Barbara.
Oh, well, yeah. But, to be perfectly honest, I feel like there are too many Dalek serials, because, like, looking at the serial list, you see all the Dalek-related names for the serials, and I'm sure there are some, like The Chase, that have Daleks in them, but aren't named Dalek.
Well, they stopped doing Dalek serials for, like, 5 years.
And
like, in the Fourth Doctor, there's a Dalek serial that's the first Dalek serial in 5 years. They bring the Daleks back in the Fourth Doctor.
Well...
They, like, don't appear in the Third Doctor, I guess.
Well, that's okay, in my personal opinion, because the Daleks are really popular, and yeah, they're good villains, but I feel like one Dalek serial per season is enough. And we already had Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Yeah, it's really annoying how the Doctor basically tries to destroy them every time, thinks he succeeded, and then they find a loophole to bring them back.
Mm-hmm. How are they back this time?
For the chase?
I mean, they have a time machine, so...
Well, they said it's their greatest nemesis, which means it must take place after the Daleks, after they destroyed them all off. Because supposedly the Daleks of the Dalek Invasion of Earth were pre the Daleks.
Yeah.
So, but since the Daleks and the Daleks didn't remember the Doctor from the Dalek Invasion of Earth, that means that these Daleks in the chase have encountered the Doctor before, which means it has to be after the Daleks, which means they probably retconned something.
The retcons. It could take place between the two.
But I don't think the Daleks in the Dalek Invasion of Earth ever saw the Doctor.
Again? Or...
No, because the Daleks of the Dalek Invasion of Earth were before the Daleks of the Daleks.
Yeah.
The Daleks in the Dalek Invasion of Earth never saw the Doctor.
Previously, is what you're saying. They didn't see
I don't even think they saw them in the serial. Thinking back, I don't think they ever saw him. They just saw, like, Barbara, because she was running away from them.
He infiltrated the facility at some point, though. Didn't he?
Well, he got captured by the Daleks in the beginning, but then he escaped, and they just never saw him again. So the Doctor wouldn't be their nemesis, because they didn't see the Doctor infiltrated the facility at the end. But at that point, he destroyed everyone in the facility, so they wouldn't remember.
That's true. Okay, yeah, that's true. So it must take place after... They must find a way to bring them
They
back.
probably retconned something. We'll just have to wait till next week to see this.
Yes. Joyful Dalek serials.
It says here that the story's cliffhanger presents fans with a preview of the Daleks' third appearance. Their return was awaited impatiently. I mean, I can understand maybe the ratings were dropping, so they boosted the ratings by doing a Dalek serial.
Makes sense.
I can understand that. I'm just waiting for that 12-episode Dalek serial in season 3.
Oh, joy. We're splitting that up, aren't we?
We definitely should.
We should, but are we?
Who knows?
We'll have to see.
Special effects in the serial, pretty good.
That one water glass drop in the beginning was pretty intense. But other
they had
than
laser
that,
bolts from the guns.
It's true.
Instead of doing the Daleks invert the film. You can actually see if they missed or hit.
And the sets for this serial, I don't know, there's a lot of serials so far that have taken place in like futuristic white hallway looking buildings.
They're probably just reusing sets and dressing them up.
Yeah.
To look different. Which I can understand.
Yeah,
it's the 60s.
I'm okay with it.
I mean, they make it look different enough that it's...
Yeah, this time it looked like a museum, enough for it to be believable and stuff, so...
Let's talk about that scene where they all just argued with each other, and none of them liked each other for that entire scene.
It was more than that one scene, though, because that scene was the most prevalent example of it, But for this whole serial, all 4 main characters were, like, at each other's throats for no reason.
Like, Glynn Jones, why? Like, have you watched the show before?
And they spend so much time talking about how they need to change the future and not end up in the cases. And they keep bringing it up, and they act on it, but they're like, there's like 3 times they're like talking about it, and then someone's like, we need to stop talking about it and act on it. And then they do the entire thing again, and I'm like, okay, guys, okay.
I mean, the only explanation I can think about, about why they're so angry at each other is because they all end up basically dead in the museum, and they know that that's coming. Which, you know, even in the reboot, when the doctor finds out where he dies, he gets pretty shaken up. Like, if you were to know where and when you're gonna die, that would affect you pretty majorly.
That is true. But at the same time, I felt like they were kind of acting out of character.
Well, they were. A little bit. Yeah.
But no, that's a good point. I mean, if you know that you're about to wind up frozen forever...
In a glass case to be viewed by no one, because nobody goes to the museum.
Yeah, that was a plot point. The museum is, like, deserted or whatever.
So no one likes the Morlocks.
Yeah, because they invade other planets and turn them into museums.
Basically. Oh, so I definitely noticed the incidental music in this serial. Even though I think the wiki mentions that this was the first serial where no original music was composed for it, and all of the incidental music was taken from the public domain.
Huh.
I think I remember reading that.
I noticed it only when you brought it up, and not any other time while we were watching it.
Yeah, the incidental music was from stock recordings rather than being specifically composed for the story.
Maybe that speaks to the quality of the composers. No.
They just run out of incidental music composed, like, quick, use stock footage, no one will know.
They do use stock footage a lot for, like, things, like those lions.
And those seals. I'm pretty sure the seals in this episode. This is, like, mildly interesting, and I know we're running out of things to talk about, but I'm going to mention it anyway. But William Russell is, like, bangs his fists together as he leaves the TARDIS, and then he like, did that again when they filmed it from the outside after a filming break, and I thought that was pretty, like, reading it right there was pretty cool, because I didn't even notice that such a small detail was observed by the actor.
Yeah. And it wound up getting noticed by no one who watched it.
Still pretty cool, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he cared enough to do that. So, yeah, personally, my least favorite serial of season 2 so far. I enjoyed the Crusades less, and the Romans.
But the Romans was hilarious.
But that doesn't make it good. We mentioned in our podcast that the fact that it was hilarious made it weird.
We did. But I still liked it more than the random nonsensical time travel stuff that this serial was based on. But yeah. So, email us. Tell us whether you thought this was just random science mumbo-jumbo or was actually good at...
The first Timey-Wimey episode at... No, it's the doctor at decorativevegetable.com. Rants, concerns...
Things
messages,
you want to say.
Emails. Send us actual mail to the email address. No, that won't work. Spoiler, that's not how that works. Rate us on iTunes. Go to our website. Send us hugs.
Be cool.
And next week we're watching...
The Chase.
The Return of the Daleks. Again. Featuring retcon, probably. Or more timey-wimey stuff.
But until then, the end.